The Boston Globe has been a vocal critic over the lack of civil discourse in recent years, which makes it all the more curious why the paper would publish material from a writer with a vile Twitter feed and a penchant for pugnacious bravado. The column's heading reads, "Keep Kirstjen Nielsen unemployed and eating Grubhub over her kitchen sink." And the first line was, "One of the biggest regrets in my life is not pissing in Bill Kristol's salmon." As soon as that post went up, my inbox looked like this. Whoa! Apparently someone at the Globe had a similar reaction and made initial revisions, changing pissing to defiling. That version was then tweeted out by interim editorial page editor Shirley Leung, who's also a WGBH contributor. But hours later, the whole piece was rewritten and accompanied by an editor's note saying a version of the column did not meet Globe standards. Finally, the whole thing went poof, as Leung explained on Boston Public Radio.
When the Henrys read the column, they felt that even after changing the column, and I ultimately agree with them on this, this is the kind of piece that should never have been published on our website to begin with. The ideas section, it's a platform for productive thought from a variety of viewpoints, not a platform for promoting physical harm.
But the Globe must have known what they were getting into. Take a look at Luke O'Neill's Twitter feed, rife with the C word and fantasies about punching Republicans and the wealthy in the face. Leung now acknowledges O'Neill might not be a fit going forward.
Maybe the Globe is not the best platform for him.
Maybe not. So one of our reporters here at WGBH, Tori Bedford, spoke with Luke O'Neill after Shirley Leung was on the radio. And he said, listen, this is exactly the reason I was hired. They wanted somebody that was edgy, that had a liberal take on things, that wasn't part of what he said to the boring opinion pages. I believe him on that. And I also believe that you substitute any liberal pundit or somebody like Oprah Winfrey or Hillary Clinton or Elizabeth Warren for Bill Kristol, and it wouldn't have made it through the editors, because basically he was suggesting that somebody urinate on somebody's food. And Shirley also said that this got through the process, that the protocol wasn't correct, that 2 people should have read this, only 1 person would have read it, but I question why that 1 person thought this was okay.
Yeah, that's a really good question, isn't it? You would think that even 1 editor would have seen that this was inappropriate. I'm not going to blame Luke O'Neill beyond a certain point, because indeed they brought him in to be edgy, and his charge is to take some chances, and if an editor doesn't want to run it, you don't run it. The fact that they ran it and then tried to edit it twice before pulling it, and then, really, if you look at what's up on the opinion page online now, they've really hung him out to dry. They've said, Luke O'Neill did not meet our standards. He's a freelancer, not on staff. The column shouldn't have run. They were right to take it down. I would really like to see the Globe own this more than they have.
Yeah, because he feels like he's being vilified, too. He said that this is the way freelancers get treated. They have no rights.
I kind of agree with him.
Yeah, I do, too.
I agree really with Dan everything you're saying there. I think that the decision that the editor should have had is you either run the column as it's presented or you don't run it. What you might do is initially, if you found that there was something in there that for whatever reason went beyond the parameters that the Globe thought were there, you go back to the writer and you say, look, here's our concern about this. Would you tone it down? Would you say it happens all the time? Sure. And then when it comes back, you then make the decision, nope, not good enough, or yes, we go ahead. But you don't tamper with it. You don't change the word pissing to defiling. All of those things. Or then go back and you don't rewrite a columnist's words. That is just, I don't know what it is, but that's a capital offense at all. You either go with it or you don't go with it. And once the discussions are done, that you're there. This was a bad decision by the Globe. Perhaps it showed inexperience on the part of Shirley running an editorial page. But you're right, Dan. They needed to own this.
Well, it certainly seems as if there wasn't much in the way of any editing, any meaningful editing on this, and that was a mistake. And I've got a news bulletin for you. People are human. They make mistakes. I think everyone involved with this incident made a mistake. Luke O'Neill just very recently, had an excellent concept, I think it was on his Instagram feed, where he solicited first-person accounts of people who've seen their families destroyed by older family members becoming addicted to Fox News.
Oh, yeah,
it was an excellent piece. So he's capable of much better work than this. This was middle school level analysis. The way to hold the Trump administration accountable for misdeeds is to, exotically prepare their salmon or scream at them, or even Michelle Goldberg in the New York Times arguing, make sure they don't get good jobs after it. How about organizing and turning out the vote? That's the way to do it. Anyway, long story short, the thing that kind of troubles me about this is the latest incident where the Globe's decisions seem to be unduly driven by the troll mob. Not that they didn't wind up doing the right thing, but to some extent in the Kevin Cullen fiasco, and now here at Fox News, Howard Carr's all upset. Is that who's calling the shots for the Globe?
I agree.
wonder.
And also, Shirley Leung has been very outspoken about vile language in other media outlets, EEI in particular.
Yep.
So for her to condone it here and not and be so vocal about it elsewhere.
So I agree with what everybody else has said. My concern is that it's taken into the whole conversation, because I read what the Federalists had to say with the Daily Call, and they were like, "See, this is what liberal folks do. This is the kind of craziness that never gets called out, but it would be called out if it was conservatives. Let me call it out. This is bad stuff." But to your point, they didn't have to take the column, and they shouldn't mess with it after they got it. I just think that there is a way to talk about what his general point was, which was that there needs to be some pushback by somebody he felt had done in her role, Kirstjen Nielsen, a very inhumane policy, had executed, had been cowardly about it. Okay, well then, this language is unnecessary. It's about the policy. Talk about it. And if you want to have a hot take, have one. Last thing I'll say about this. We're now at the point where several publications, in their effort to be edgy, have hired people who are clearly, publicly available to find out how they express themselves, probably in the extreme beyond what the publication wants, and yet they get hired, and then they have to backtrack. What? Think about it.
What did you think?
What did you think was going to happen?
Right.
Think about it.
Exactly.
New Yorker Magazine.
Exactly. This is what this has happened now.
New York Times.
About 4 or 5 times we've talked about this. So my thing is, you know what? You can have a hot take that is actually constructive and well written, and got some good language.
Well,
that
he is
doesn't
a good writer.
It doesn't have to be nasty.
He's a good writer.
It doesn't have to be nasty.
He'll be back in some form. All right.